Hey everyone, and welcome back to Only Up From Here with Logan and Brooke. This is episode 6, part 2, and this was our first ever interview podcast where we interviewed Bev and Dwayne from Sageview Strategies. If you want to check them out, you can find them at sageviewstrategies.com, or you can just contact us and we'll put you in touch with them. They're a fantastic couple and amazing people to work with, so we'd be really excited to put you in touch with them. This episode is also sponsored by Up Leather Designs, so you can find us at upleatherdesigns.com as well as on almost all social media platforms. We mainly focus on Instagram, but you can pretty much find us anywhere. Don't forget to also rate this podcast in whatever platform you are listening on: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, all the above. Make sure you rate us because it really helps us out. And don't forget to answer the question that is mentioned in the podcast as well. So you can answer that on our Instagram post for this podcast, or whatever platform you are rating and leaving a review on, you can answer it as well. Or we'd really love to get a video version of your response to these questions. So I will let you know what the question is here, but you can also hear it in the podcast. So the question is, how do you define ego, and in what ways do we let ego get in the way of becoming an entrepreneur? So don't forget to answer that question. We are really excited, and Bev and Dwayne are really excited to hear the responses to that too. So without further ado, here is part 2 of our first interview podcast. Enjoy. I had a question regarding like challenges and hurdles, and I don't know if it kind of came up already, but was there one hurdle professionally that like one that you went through, or personal, that was kind of like a breakthrough moment, like a professional or personal hurdle that like I guess held you back, that like once you overcame that was like a breakthrough kind of moment to...
I don't know if there was like one huge aha moment.
That kind of set us ahead, leaps and bounds kind of thing. A breakthrough moment, I think, came personally though in our relationship, when we realized that the ship had to be turned around and set on a new course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think from that point, a lot of things could have fallen apart. Yeah. And without, and maybe they wouldn't, maybe the business side would have continued, but it wouldn't be a partnership, entrepreneurial ship. Is that enough ships?
The ship aligned.
Yeah. Pardon my pun. I didn't mean for that, but so brilliant. But again, it would be a different situation that we're sitting in today, had that personal side of our life not been righted.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's, as you're talking, a lot of thoughts come to my mind. But you can get so wrapped up in that business because as an entrepreneur, you don't have a time clock that you're checking. It's Monday morning, 9 a.m. I got to punch my clock. 5 p.m. I get to go home, do it all again tomorrow. So you have to recognize that there are those work periods where you're focusing on making hay.
Right.
And then there's the times that are free and you're not focusing on making hay. And it's so easy. It was so easy for me, unfortunately, to give up that free time. Growing up on the farm, if the sun is shining, you make hay. Simple as that, because you could get 2 weeks of rain and not be able to get the crop off.
Right.
So you have that mentality. And as the business started zipping along, and it was all, I'm not going to stop making hay. I got to keep this tractor running, keep on baling, keep on combining, because it's the sun's shining. And then if it starts to rain, then I got to do something. I can't just leave it at that, because then I got to get this going again, because I don't want to come back to this mess. But in the meantime, that other part of your life that you have, that's your personal side, your family side, is raining. And I think as an entrepreneur, And it may not even be your family life, but it could be your own personal health situation that you're getting yourself into. And that's something that that would be a turning point for me, for sure. The health issues that started to crop up, and I'd stand up and I'd fall down and couldn't keep my balance and stuff like that. So it was just combining. I was always making hay and never giving myself the freedom to have the free time. And not only was self deteriorating, but we were deteriorating.
Right.
So that's a big aha moment for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's how, at that point, that's when I started getting into the coaching side, and we started getting a lot closer and really rebuilding our relationship at some point in there. And a lot of time is a blur, trying to remember things, but in time frames, but you have to be good. Because if you're not good and you're not healthy, and your relationship with those that are most important to you isn't healthy, then what the hell do you have to combine for?
Exactly.
Right?
Like
I remember back in my earlier days in the business, this one guy, he was like just an absolute rock star in the business, one of the biggest producers in the country. And talking to him, he says, well, I have to keep working hard. My first $800,000 a year of income goes to pay my alimonies. I think he was on his third or fourth marriage already.
Oh my goodness.
So $800,000 isn't even his to keep to start with. Like, how much more combining do you need to do? Support all your ex-wives. Well, good for you. But the industry and society sees him as he's top of the table. He's one of the biggest producers in the country for all the companies in the country. Goes to all the international conventions and everything and then the VPs and the presidents all get the handshakes going and the hugs, and he's the rock star, right?
Of course.
But
personally, he's a wreck.
He's a wreck.
Yeah.
And he's destroyed how many lives along the way, not just his own.
Yeah. And I feel like, it's so easy to get lost in that. So many people just start caring about that business side of it way too much, and just see one little issue or something crops up on the personal side, and they give up on that side because the professional side is way more important to them, when really all they would have had to do is put in a little bit of effort and time and work.
Yeah.
Commitment to the personal side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like what
some
is
degree of love.
There would have been a more equal balance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can have both. You don't have to choose
one.
can.
And it makes life easier, especially on Father's Day, because how many houses can you go to on
Exactly.
I got to go over to visit all my kids. I got to start early.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a very important part of being an entrepreneur, though, is finding that balance for sure in the personal and professional side, and setting those boundaries of work time, of rest, of enjoyment time, and
And sometimes,
and when you have those times, go 100% in on each of those times. So like you're 100% in when you're working, and then you get work's done, move on to 100% of your 100% effort into your family time.
So you're not just physically there, but you're also mentally there.
Yeah. So you're focused.
Yeah.
You're focused.
Be focused in what you're
And without a doubt, it's hard to say no to when you're involved in, you're focused on something, and work's going so well. Sometimes it's just hard to say no to that next opportunity.
For sure.
That, whatever the opportunity is, you got to learn when to say no and back off, and how much is enough. How much is enough for me and for us, and realize that, because sometimes doing more is not always more.
Right.
It's less. It's less productive, and it's less satisfying, perhaps. And something else is losing if you're doing more. If you're always doing more in one specific area, it's coming from somewhere else, because you can't give more than you have to give and then have something left over.
There's no spare change.
There's no spare change.
It's not like going to McDonald's.
You only have so much of yourself to give, so much energy. And that's whether that's your lifetime, or you break it down to this minute. I only have so much to give today, and that's all. And I think we can't beat ourselves up when we run out of gas in whichever mode we're in, personal or professional. We have to recognize that. Oh, that's it for me today, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's so difficult to do.
It is so hard to do because you just like, this little task.
One more thing. I'll just go back to the office this evening for 10 minutes. And
One more. But so if you take it from now, like if you spend that now, then you don't have it for later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you don't have that boundary set, it's just so easy to spill over. The other time. It
takes so much discipline to know what's enough. When's enough at whatever you're doing, whatever even if it's just the task at hand. What's enough?
It's interesting as you're talking about that, and you asked about mentors and a coaching program. The first session that I went to, they talk. One of the exercises you go through is to learn how to set your free time, buffer time, and focus time. And as entrepreneurs, we're all about focus time. Right. But the free time doesn't get booked at all. If I have time, we're going to go to the lake this weekend. Or if we get this done, we'll do this. Get the work done first, right? It's always about getting the work done first. And that mentality was a total shift where you actually book your free time first. Mm-hmm. And I remember going through the exercise, and their definition of free time it's 24 hours of completely nothing to do with work, absolutely zero to do with work. Not even a check an email or being in the financial planning business, turning on the news or walking through the airport and seeing their business report and you're watching this. Nothing. If you see it, you close your eyes to it. And how challenging that was. But so they go through an exercise. In the last 90 days, how many free days did you have? And I came up with one, which was bullshit. It wasn't. I can guarantee you it wasn't a true free day in definition. One in 90 days.
Wow.
Yeah, one. And I was good in the bunch. I was probably better than most. But it was such a realization. So then the concept is you book your free days first. Mm-hmm. And it's not just book a free day, but you have to know what you're going to do in that free day. Because otherwise we go with the path of least resistance.
You're going to keep.
And we bring this into play if we decide to. So we go with the path of least. So you actually have to decide what's important in your life, the things that you're missing out on that you want to have enjoyment on those free days. Yeah. So you set those whys first, right? Simon Sinek, his book Whys, phenomenal. Set the whys, book the days, decide how many free days you want, and then book those days. Actually fill that calendar up. And so I did that. And it was like I wanted a free day is total focus time on those free activities, right? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to spend free time with Bev. I wanted to spend free time with Logan. I wanted to spend free time with Aaron. I wanted to spend free time with Allison. My most important things in my life. It had nothing to do with, I need more time to work. Those 4 people were most important in my life. Mm-hmm. So I had to set the free time, which is almost stupid as a father. You shouldn't have to do this, right? But you got to do it. You've got a goofy mind. And have that focus time with them. And it wasn't just an hour here or hour there. Like Logan and I went down to Arizona for a week, just the 2 of us. Mm-hmm. I went horseback riding with Allison. Loaded up the trailer and loaded up the horses, went camping, just the 2 of us and our 2 horses and a dog. 2 dogs. We each had a dog. Erin, we took a motorcycle course together. Booked a weekend off, motorcycle safety course. She wanted to learn how to ride a motorcycle. I couldn't teach her. I drove a dirt bike when I was a kid, but she wouldn't want me to teach her how I drove. And when I took the course, I found out how bad I was. But that's that free time. Yeah. And I got back to the next session, and we're going over what we've accomplished. And guys say, "Oh, I got 3 free days in. I got this." I had 32 free days in that quarter.
Wow.
True, honest, 100% free days.
Wow.
They thought I was nuts, eh?
Oh,
But I was so happy. I was living absolute cloud. It was
for
phenomenal.
sure. Wow. Amazing. That was something cool I learned, actually. I spent time working with Bev and Dwayne in their office for a while, actually, and that was something that always stuck in my mind. Was they really reiterated the importance of free days and work days, and that was something, as Logan and I started our entrepreneurial journey, that really stuck with me from learning from Bev and Dwayne, was the importance of your time. That
Don't
way.
sell yourself short.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can grow all the wealth you want that ever existed in the world, but if you don't have the things that are really important to you around you, the day you die, they're just going to fight over it anyway.
Yeah.
That's all that's going to happen. Or you got to give it away to someone else because they won't even be at your funeral.
Exactly.
And love our business, but there was a recent thing I saw, and we've become a culture of loving things and using people as opposed to loving people and using things. Huh. Isn't that the way culture is these days?
Yeah. Yikes.
So, what other question do you have? Was that question 1 or 2?
I
think it was 2.
Was that loving things and using people?
Yeah.
I like
Loving
that one.
things and using people.
We've become a culture of loving things and using people.
And should be.
And we should be as humans loving people, not
and using
and using things. But there again, maybe the ego plays a little bit of a role in that.
For sure.
Because what good is ego if you've just got a common little house and it's not the big one up on the hill?
Yeah.
And you get to love this house, this mansion that the guy built. Or I love my Mercedes. I love my smartphone, my new smartphone. I love that. How can you even say that you love a smartphone? What sort of relationship? It's using you. It's using you, man. You're the gimmick. Yeah, we really got things messed up these days. Anyway, I was part of it. So,
and you know what? Exactly. We were there too with, you talk about the ego. We were there.
Oh, for sure.
We were there. You know,
it exists in all of us.
It is. It does. But it took us a while to check it.
Yeah. It still gets in the way every once in a while. And it's like,
for sure.
There we go again. They're bright and shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, life's interesting. We're just, without ego, we'd be dead.
For sure.
We wouldn't exist. You have to have ego.
Yeah.
But I think as a society too, we've defined ego as being a bad thing when it isn't.
Right.
It's the results of that ego that are bad. How you act unwisely because of that ego.
When you're high on that ego.
When you're high on that ego.
Yeah.
Ego is necessary.
For sure.
We wouldn't survive without.
I think your life has unique timing of making you check on your ego.
At the most inopportune time.
For the good or the bad.
Probably, we think it's the most inopportune, but it's probably the most
before
timely.
Just in time.
Just in time. Yeah.
For sure. What advice would you give to and someone who is just starting like an entrepreneurial journey in the industry that you guys are in your industry?
Can I rephrase that too?
Yeah, of course.
What advice would you give somebody who is either trying to start their own business or just going into the industry the financial industry that you are in? Because it works unique. It doesn't have to be just for an entrepreneur. It could be like anyone entering into that field.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Field. Just doesn't have to be entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Just in the field in general.
Yeah.
I could. Did you want to start that?
No, I'm just thinking here.
I think The wheels are turning. I got to get the right words to come out. But it's not just work, and it's not the field, it's not the business. It's how you approach life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you approach life in a way, or the business that you're going into in a way that it's all about you and you're just taking from that, it's all about getting from that business, then I'd say don't do it. Stop living in that way. If you can live in a way that it's about giving, when I touch this, how do I make this better? When I step here, how does that become better? So it's better not for me. It's not about self. It's about everybody else. So when you go to create something, if you have that creative mindset and you can create something that actually leaves the planet, the people, the universe better as a result, then you're on the right path. But if you're taking from all those things for self, I think that's wrong. And if you're doing it in a way that, approaching life or your business in a way that, when you sit down, for me, when I sit down with somebody in that financial planning or the coaching area or whatever we're working in, and my expectation when they get up out of that chair and walk out of my office, or I get off that Zoom call with them, as we've all been doing so much of, that when that is done, their life has changed for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, my life changes for the better too.
Right.
And somewhere along the way, there's money involved. I get remunerated, right? That happens. We don't even know what kind of contracts we have as far as percentages and stuff that we get. It's funny. Like some guys in our industry, you got to know the contract and then work the contract. It's like, I got to know the people that I work with and make sure that when they step out of my office, that they're going on a path that's better than when they came in.
Right.
And I think for anybody, whether it's business or your family or just being part of society, is that we got to stop focusing so much on ourselves and start focusing on how we can create more wealth for other people, and wealth in different areas, not just
wealth. I'm not thinking money, dollars, wealth, but how do we enrich
other people's lives?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are your gifts that you can bring to the world to make others better? Because they don't have the same gift as you do. Nobody does. Everybody's so unique, and that's a beautiful thing about all of us.
Mm-hmm. And when you're doing something for those reasons, you're getting so much more value out of it. You're enjoying it, you know?
Yeah, you're in love with it.
Like so many people hate what they do every day, but like, what are you caught up in? Are you caught up in just the money side of it? Or do you actually genuinely think you're helping people, or you're, whatever you're doing, what value are you giving and what value are you getting from it?
Yeah. And just to, I don't want to cut you off.
Oh, no.
When you are in that position where you don't like what you're doing, I hate my job, or whatever it is, what is it that you don't like?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you might not actually dislike your job.
Exactly.
You might actually be very good at what you're doing, but what part of you inside is not happy?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I was going with that, but I think that our dislikes are deeper than, the job. I think the job, or disliking your job, or whatever it is you're doing or involved in, is more than actually what you're physically doing. I think it's, what's the root of that dislike?
Yeah.
Are you comparing yourself to somebody else, and do you feel like you're measuring yourself against somebody else and not measuring up, and so, there's got to be something better? Or what is it?
Yeah.
What is the deeper question?
Yeah. And maybe just kind of getting back to what Logan mentioned from the start about or partway into the start, about your core values. Maybe the job that you're doing isn't in line with your core values, and maybe you're if one of your core values is honesty, and you're in some way not living up to that core value, that virtue, in the job that you're doing, well, of course you're not going to be happy.
Right.
Honesty, are you remaining humble? Are you acting with humility? Are you some egotistical big shot that nobody likes to be around, and you don't even like being around yourself. Maybe there's that part of it. Or because of the pushiness that you're pushing yourself to strive, you're just beating the heck up out of your body and destroying your health, or you're pushing so hard that you're destroying the relationships that you have. So you're not being patient. Or are you truly sincere as you go to work in the morning? Do you sincerely want to help people? We have 3 kind of values of our business. We call it the 3 W's. And that's kind of grown over time. And it was a realization that we had a few years back that Bev actually brought in one day, which is kind of neat. But really kind of focusing on what values are you bringing to people and working with people in 3 different areas. And wealth, the financial planning, well, you better be talking some money, right? You can't just all discuss woo stuff and expect people to. But so there's the wealth side for sure. There's the wisdom side. So are you sharing the knowledge that the people are acting in a way or making decisions in a way that you've developed their minds enough so that they can make the decisions based on facts and not just some sales picture or fancy bulletins or websites or that. So that the wealth, the wisdom, and the third ingredient is well-being. So the third W, well-being, wealth, wisdom, well-being. So the relationship, if the client is only focused on making a bunch of money and trading the right stocks and stuff like that, well, sorry, buddy, you come to the wrong place. You're not going to do that. But if you come for a balanced approach and really putting true value on that wealth component and making sure that the well-being that surrounds it and the wisdom that surrounds it and being able to contribute to society in the right way because of the wealth that you're developing in those 3 areas, then that's the uniqueness side of it. So I said earlier that we're a financial planning business, but people have their perception of what a financial planning business is. We're not that perception. We've created something very unique from that standpoint. And when I can have a person come into my office and they're just destroyed financially or stressed right out or challenges in their relationship, and I can, without physically doing anything with them, but coach them and guide them in the right direction, that all of a sudden all those things start to grow for them, all those asset classes start to grow for them, and they start seeing value in themselves again. That's friggin' awesome, because they're not out blowing their money at a shopping mall for another pair of shoes, and they've already got 3 friggin' closets full of shoes, right? Or whatever other way that people try to fulfill those needs that they have of significance or variety or love and connection in some way, or just different things that we try to fulfill our needs. But if you can do that and they don't have to take it in a way that it's just spending what they have, all of a sudden they got more value of their money. See the more value of their money. So their money's growing because they're not needing fulfillment in stupid ways. They're finding fulfillment in proper ways. Right. You start connecting those dots with the people within the 3 W's. It's like, wow, it's pretty cool. And most come back. Which is scary. Because you're a financial planner. You should be just talking about making money, growing the net worth. Well, the net worth is more than just dollars and cents.
Exactly. And people don't realize that. And Dwayne's very good at helping people recognize the wealth that they do have. And
remember speaking that one time? It was to a group of healthcare providers in North Battleford. And they had us come in. I got the front stage, got to talk to this. There was 100 and some people in the room. And I was the financial planner, the sage on the stage talking about financial planning. And my talk was on growing your net worth. So they're all had their pens and papers. And we're going to get rich. Dwayne's going to teach us how to get rich. And I went through my spiel, my presentation, and talked about the 4 different asset classes of money, knowledge, well-being, or wisdom, I should say, and contribution, how we give back. And we developed that talk off a book by Lee Brower, who was a fantastic business coach also. And got to the end of my presentation, and I couldn't believe it. There are people there. I got the applause, of course, but people lined up down the middle of the aisle, all the way to the back of the room, And they were coming up to shake my hand and hug me and stuff like that for delivering a talk. They needed a talk like that because everything's so money centered.
Yeah. They didn't know, or they thought they were going to get knowledge on the money side, which they were excited about, but they got so much more.
Yeah, do we buy stocks or bonds?
Yeah.
That was part of the talk because money's important. Like, I'm not going to talk like money's not important, because if you think that money's not important, you're either too scared or you're too naive to earn it. Mm-hmm. You can't survive in this world without money. We all need money, but to what degree, right?
Right.
But a balanced approach to the different asset classes. And that's just, for me, that just lights my fire. I just love those discussions because it's brings so much value. And when a person can leave my office with that, then they're better and I've done my job. And whether they take it and pick it up and carry it into the rest of the world, then that's their choice after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they leave with a better sense of gratitude. And when you have that positive sense, gratefulness, your step is just skippier and you can do a whole lot more than if you are dragging your feet in the mud, or you think you are, and you have nothing to show for it.
You're worthless.
Or that you're worthless.
Oh, God, we all have worth. How do you measure it? Mm-hmm. You're not measuring it properly.
Yeah.
It's not a worthless person on this earth.
Just listening to us here, it's just our
conviction is so good, eh?
No, it's just that, for financial planning, financial services kind of business, we talk a lot more about not financial, not money, more wholesome things. And that's really the way it is.
Yeah.
It is really the way it is among ourselves and with the clients and how we relate to them. So seems kind of like we might be, off board on this conversation. But
wouldn't expect it.
But that is just the way we run the business.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's how people must come in, thinking, if I fix and have them help me with my financial side, things are going to be so much better. But leave so bang on with that. Probably just come in so excited about that part, about that one aspect, but then leave with so much more knowledge and a complete 360 in the approach to what work they really need to do in life as a whole.
It's probably because you look at the credentials behind my name. I probably have more. In the province of Saskatchewan and possibly Western Canada, my credentials are right up there with the top financial planners around. So in Saskatchewan, there's very few that would have the same level of credentials and work experiences I would have.
Right.
So to have the opportunity to talk to somebody at that level as an individual, he's going to make me rich.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do I screw that one up?
Going to make you rich, but rich in
so many other ways.
Yeah.
Really, the financial planning, the investment side, that's easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, numbers are either black or white, or black or red.
Lots of red sometimes.
And as long as you are open to, how do I want to word this? Open to, that it's not, that it, I don't know this, as long as you're open to, like you say, the growth in your whole life, in the balance of your whole life that you need to do, then that's the first.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And that's exactly it. And we are getting ourselves as people in such deep crap because the rest of our life isn't balanced. Mm-hmm. And people come to us for retirement planning work. They're professionals earning really good income, or they're business owners earning really good income, higher than what normal would be for cash coming into their house.
Average, yeah. Higher than average.
Yeah, and they can't retire because Bev said red and the black. They're in the red. Mm-hmm. And their red is so high because of debt that to support that debt on the financial planning side is impossible to retire. Because now they're having to suck money out of their pension plan or their RSPs if they're retired to service that debt before they can even think about doing, what do you want to do when I retire? I want to golf. I want to read books. I want to go boating. I want to travel the world, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but we got to take care of this payment first. Otherwise, the bank's going to take your house away. When you get back, you're not going to have a house. So they want to do all these things, but they have to do this. Mm-hmm. And all that is because of the commercialism that exists, that people think they're going to find fulfillment if they buy that bigger house.
Right.
If they buy another car, if they've got the Mercedes parked in the driveway so the Joneses down the street can see that.
Yeah.
The debt that people are carrying in the early stages of their life is heavy, but you got to work towards a point in life where it's done with and it's manageable and it's not going to control your life as you move into the next phase of your life.
Manageable, I think, is the key word.
Yeah.
You want to do all these things when you retire, great, but you got to retire the debt first.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where people are failing. And it doesn't have to do with the spending of the money. It's trying to find fulfillment in ways that they think will be fulfilled because they got the money to spend.
Right.
And boy, if we could just get this one thing,
I'll feel so happy.
Yeah.
Always seeking more externally.
Materialistic.
Always seeking more, and you get that more, that next more, and it might light you up for a little bit, but then it's gone, and then you're looking for the next high.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what do I need? Oh, they've got that. Oh, yeah, I need that now. And it's just never ending because it's external, and it's not. You're not looking within.
And then you're only going further away.
You're only going further. Exactly. You're only going further and further away, and I think you're getting further and further disconnected from yourself, right? And from probably everybody around you too.
Yeah.
You're losing that connection. You got to come back to you.
Yeah.
You is all you have.
Yeah. You're the one consistent. You're consistent.
Yeah. You is all you have. You got to take care of. And you are so valuable. Like yourself is so, there can be so much happiness and contentment with just you.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just can't find it.
Sometimes you're, boy, and that's another conversation. Holy mackerel. That's a whole nother podcast there.
Yeah. Wow.
Any other questions? Is that still the first question?
That was pretty much.
I think that's pretty solid.
That doesn't have to.
I think everything on there is in.
Yeah, and more.
And
way more. Yeah, that was like.
That you guys wanted to say or share?
Any last words?
Any last words? This has been a pleasure. This has been, I think, for me, this has been. It's kind of a looking back too. Like we talked about, just looking back to how far you've come. That's kind of what this has been. Mm-hmm. It's a
good reflection.
A good reflection, and a lot of gratitude for, where we are and the opportunity that we have to be able to sit here on the island discussing it.
Watching the hail come down.
Watching the rain and the hail. And
watching the gods respond.
Yeah, it's just been a really good reflection. So thanks for offering to share this podcast with us.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for
that's cool.
being a part of it. Mm-hmm. Super grateful for that.
Yes.
So, with that, Dad, what was the question of the day? The two-parter question.
The two-parter question of the day. So the first part was, and I would absolutely love to get the feedback on this, just to see the different views that people have. And I admire all the different views that people have. It's just neat to see. We can get stuck in our vision of something. What does ego mean to you? So how do you define ego? And I can have my perception of it. And if I don't hear all these other people respond, then I'm going to stick with what I think it is, right?
Exactly.
Because, well, it must be right. Nobody else wants to pipe in.
Yeah.
You don't have any other perception to.
Yeah, but being able to open up your eyes to other people's thoughts on what that is and how many variables there are with everybody is pretty cool.
That conversation is huge.
Yeah. So please share that answer. That would be fantastic. I'll chuckle and reflect on each one. I'm sure it'll be really, really a good exercise for myself to go through. And in what way do we allow our ego to get in the way of our ability to become an entrepreneur? In what way do we allow our ego to get in the way of our ability to become an entrepreneur? And that question, if I think of the Brené Browns and that of the world right now that are writing fantastic books and facing your fears in order to overcome those fears. So that's a question about fear. What about our ego? What part of our ego? Why do we let our ego get in the way of becoming an entrepreneur? We could have an absolutely amazing dream that would absolutely change the world, and we're scared to do it. Why are you letting your ego get in the way of that?
Awesome. All right. Awesome. So on that note, that will be the end of episode 6 of Only Up From Here with Logan and Brooke. Make sure to go and respond to that question because we're really excited to hear the answers. So on whatever platform you're listening on, or our post for this podcast on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, comment your response and let us know what you think. Even if you want to record it as a story, something, send it to us because we're down here. That'd be awesome. Yeah, so record your answers, send it to us in some form, and we're excited to hear that. So
with that, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, the hail is picking up again, so it's I got to talk a little bit louder here, but
it's coming from all directions.
I appreciate you guys listening, and with that, have a great day, and don't forget to answer that question.
Yeah, and leave a rating on our podcast.
All that good stuff.
Yeah. See you guys next time.
All right.